The retinal scanner chimed its polite green acceptance chime, and the titanium-laced vault door hissed open. Julian Thorne stepped inside, his bespoke leather shoes silent on the polished marble. He was alone. He was always alone. The air was chilled to a perfect 55 degrees Fahrenheit, the humidity precisely controlled to protect the assets. This was his sanctuary, his fortress, the one place in his billion-dollar penthouse itself, a fortress in the sky, that was truly inviolable. He was here for the quarterly inspection of the bearer bonds, a tactile ritual he performed himself, trusting no one, not even his chief of staff, Marcus. Except tonight, he wasn't alone. She was sitting on the floor by the far wall, legs crossed, humming a tune he didn't recognize. A small blonde girl, no older than 7, wearing a faded pink t-shirt adorned with a cartoon cat and threadbare jeans. In her lap, she held the Orloff diamond. Julian didn't shout. He didn't even flinch, though his heart, an organ he rarely acknowledged, performed a painful lurch. His mind simply processed the impossibility. His security system, a bleeding-edge, AI-driven matrix designed by ex-Mossad engineers, had registered no breach, no alarms, no warnings. The sensors, he stated, his voice a low, calm baritone, are calibrated to detect a mass over 40 pounds. The little girl looked up, her blue eyes wide and curious, not frightened. She tilted her head, her neat blonde hair unmoving. "You talk like my fridge," she said. Then she held up the diamond, the world's most perfect, flawless, and secure jewel, which was supposed to be resting on a pressurized, velvet-lined pedestal 10 feet away. "This one is different from the other one." Julian's blood, which never ran hot, turned to ice. "The other one?" The girl nodded, pointing to the empty pedestal. "The one that was here yesterday. It was more shiny. This one looks sleepy." Julian Thorne, a man who controlled global markets before breakfast, a man who had never, in his 42 years, been truly surprised, felt the solid marble floor tilt beneath his feet. He had not been in this vault in 3 months. There was no yesterday. And there was, most certainly, only one Orloff diamond. He pressed a silent button on his watch, a direct-to-security summons. His head of security, Eleanor Hayes, would be at the vault door in under 30 seconds. He looked back at the child, who was now carefully tracing the diamond's facets with a small, grubby finger. "Who are you?" he asked. "Lily," she said brightly. "My mom's cleaning. I got bored." The vault door, which should have been sealed until he exited, hissed open again. It was Marcus Vane, his chief of staff, his right hand, the man who organized his life down to the second. Marcus, always immaculate in a Savile Row suit, his expression a perfect mask of calm efficiency, stepped inside. He held a tablet. "Julian, my apologies for the intrusion, but the Tokyo exchange is—" He stopped. He saw the girl. He saw the diamond in her hand. For 1/50th of a second, the mask cracked. It wasn't surprise Julian saw. It was pure, unadulterated fury. Then, instantly, it was gone, replaced by profound, practiced concern. "My God," Marcus breathed, rushing forward. "Julian, are you all right? Eleanor, get in here, lock down." He knelt, not toward Julian, but toward the girl, his voice dropping to a syrupy, false kindness. "Hello, little one. You must be lost. Let's give that back, shall we? That's not a toy." He reached for the diamond. Lily shrank back, clutching the stone to her chest. "No," she said. "It's sleepy. I like the shiny one." Marcus's smile tightened. "Julian," he said, standing up, his back to the girl. "This is an unprecedented breach, a catastrophic failure on Eleanor's part." Eleanor Hayes burst in, her sidearm drawn, her face pale. She was a severe woman, all sharp angles and coiled tension. She saw the girl and froze. "Sir, Mr. Vane, all sensors are green. The building is secure. This is impossible." Julian finally moved. He held up a hand. "Stop." His voice cut through the air. Marcus and Eleanor fell silent. He walked slowly toward the girl. He knelt, mirroring Marcus, but he kept his distance. He looked directly into her eyes. "Lily, my name is Julian. Why did you say I talk like your fridge?" Lily considered this. "All functions nominal, temperature stable." "My fridge says that when Mom buys groceries. You talk like that. All flat." Julian almost smiled. "I see." He pointed to the diamond. "You said this one is sleepy. The other one was shiny. Where did you see the other one?" "Right there." She pointed to the pedestal. "Yesterday, when Mom was cleaning the shiny picture." Julian's vault contained no pictures. His penthouse contained pictures. A $200 million collection of impressionist art. "The shiny picture," he repeated, his mind racing. "The one with the water and the boats. His Monet." "Yes, I came in here to hide, and the door was open." She pointed to a dark, recessed panel in the wall, one Julian had always assumed was a utility junction. "The little door was stuck, so I pushed it." "The vault door," Julian said to Eleanor, his voice dangerously quiet, "was open." "Yesterday?" Eleanor looked baffled. "Sir, that is physically impossible. The door has not been accessed since your last quarterly review. Logged, sealed, and verified. I have the data right here." "She's lying," Marcus said, his tone sharp. "This child is clearly disturbed, or she's been put up to this. She's a plant. We must have her and her mother detained immediately." "No," Julian said. "The door was not open. But the little door." He walked to the panel Lily had indicated. It looked like all the others, seamless, solid. But as he ran his hand along the bottom, he felt it. A small magnetic latch, almost invisible. It was an old dumbwaiter shaft, dating back to the building's original 1920s construction, something his architects had simply walled over, sealing it into the vault's infrastructure. It must have connected to a service corridor on this floor. A corridor, he realized. That was part of the staff's cleaning route. A corridor his high-tech security, focused on digital intrusion and main access points, would never monitor. He looked at Eleanor. "You didn't check the original schematics. You only scanned for modern vulnerabilities." Eleanor's face went white. It was a failure of imagination, the one thing she was paid to have. "And you," Julian said, turning to Marcus, "seem very certain she's lying. Why?" "Julian, be reasonable," Marcus said, his voice soothing. "A 7-year-old girl is found inside your vault holding the Orlov. The only logical conclusion is a security breach of the highest order, likely using the child as an innocent mule. Her mother, the cleaner. It's the classic inside job. We need to handle this, quietly. Let me take the asset, and I will have Eleanor escort the child and her mother to my office." He reached again for the diamond. "No," Julian said. He held out his own hand to Lily. "Lily, may I please have the stone?" Lily looked at his hand, then at his face. She studied him for a long moment. Then, she placed the massive diamond in his palm. It felt wrong. He knew its weight to the microgram, its feel, the precise way the light refracted. He brought it over to the pedestal's light. Lily was right. It was sleepy. The fire, the brilliance, it was dull. It was a fake. A flawless, 1,000,000,000 museum-grade replica, but a fake nonetheless. And this child, this 7-year-old from the service corridors, had seen it instantly, because she had seen the real one yesterday, which meant someone had swapped it. Someone had access to his vault. Someone had replaced the world's most famous diamond with a replica, assuming, correctly, that he wouldn't look at it again for 3 months, and that someone, he realized with a chilling certainty, was now standing in the vault with him. He looked at Marcus and Eleanor. One of them, or both of them, was lying. "Eleanor," Julian said, his voice calm, "lock down the penthouse. No one in, no one out. Do not, however, detain the mother. Find her. Sarah. What is your last name, Lily?" "Peterson," Lily whispered. "Find Sarah Peterson. Tell her there has been a minor incident and her daughter is safe with me. Bring her to my study, and bring me the last 72 hours of security footage from the entire 90th floor, including the service corridors." "Sir," Eleanor said, "that's terabytes of, Now, Eleanor." She nodded, chastened, and left. Julian turned to Marcus. "Marcus, cancel my appointments for the rest of the evening. All of them." "Julian, the Tokyo call is—" "All of them," Julian said. "And Marcus, stay out of the vault. That's an order." He looked at Lily. "Come with me, Lily. I think you and I need to talk about the shiny picture." He led the small girl out of the vault, the massive fake diamond heavy in his pocket. He resealed the door, his mind a cold engine of calculation. The scam was not a scam. It was the scam. Someone was gutting his life from the inside out, replacing his most priceless, tangible assets with fakes. And they had been doing it, he suspected, for a very long time. The girl was the wrench in the machine. She was the ghost, the variable they could never have predicted. Her mother, Sarah Peterson, was a new cleaner, hired only 2 weeks ago by Marcus's own internal services division. She had been given the 90th floor route, and her daughter, bored and curious, had found a forgotten hole in the most secure room on Earth. Julian's study was a cavern of glass and steel, overlooking the entirety of Manhattan. He sat Lily on a leather sofa that cost more than a house. She looked tiny, her feet not even close to touching the floor. "Would you like a juice?" he asked. "I have apple or probably just apple." "Okay," she whispered. He procured the juice from a hidden automated panel. She took it with 2 hands. "You're not mad?" she asked. "I'm not mad at you, Lily. You found something very important. You helped me." He sat opposite her. "Now, tell me about the shiny picture and the little door," Lily explained. Her mother, Sarah, was a floater cleaner, filling in. She wasn't supposed to bring Lily, but her babysitter had canceled, and she couldn't afford to miss the shift. So she'd told Lily to sit very, very quietly in the service pantry. But Lily got bored. She liked exploring. She'd found the little door, the dumbwaiter, in the pantry wall. It was dark, but she wasn't scared. She climbed up. It led into a dark, cold room, the vault. She'd been in there twice. The first time, yesterday, she'd seen the shiny diamond on its little light-up chair. She'd also seen the men. Julian's blood pressure spiked. "Men? What men? Mr. Sad?" she said. "And Mr. Grumpy. They were in here. They had a picture with the boats. The shiny one. Mr. Sad and Mr. Grumpy." Julian repeated, his voice flat. "Mr. Grumpy is the one you talked to. The one with the hair. Marcus. And Mr. Sad? He's just sad," Lily said. He looked at the picture and he was crying a little. He said, "It's the last one, Marcus. Father's favorite. After this, it's done." And Mr. Grumpy, "Mr. Marcus," he said, "it's never done, Eris. Not until we have all of it." Eris. Julian felt the name like a punch to the gut. Eris Thorne, his younger brother. The sad one. The failed artist. The black sheep. The man Julian had installed as the token head of the Thorne Foundation, a charitable organization Julian funded and Marcus managed. Eris, who hated him. Eris, who had a key, not to the vault but to the penthouse. Julian had given it to him himself, a gesture of familial trust he now realized was colossally stupid. So, Marcus and Eris, they weren't just stealing, they were replacing. He thought of his Monet, Le Bassin aux Nymphéas. It hung in the main gallery. He had looked at it this morning. It had looked perfect. But he wasn't a child with a literal, uncorrupted eye. He was a man who saw what he expected to see. Lily had seen the swap. She had seen them in the vault with the real Monet, likely preparing to swap it with a forgery. And they had been in the vault, which meant Eleanor, she had to be in on it. She was the only one who could have manually disabled the vault's internal sensors and logs for a set period. She had lied. Log in, 9:14 p.m. Log out, 9:17 p.m. Sir, the door has not been accessed. A digital fabrication. The breach was total. His chief of staff, his head of security, and his own brother. They were systematically looting him, not with a smash and grab, but with a patient, insidious replacement. They were gaslighting him, swapping his reality, piece by piece. And today, they had swapped the Orlov. There was a soft chime. Sarah Peterson stood at the door, flanked by two of Eleanor's stony-faced guards. She was pale, thin, and vibrating with terror. She looked like Lily, but worn down by life. Her blonde hair tied in a severe bun, her uniform ill-fitting. "Lily!" she gasped, rushing forward and snatching the girl from the sofa. "Oh, my baby, are you okay? I'm so sorry, sir. Please don't call the police. She didn't mean." "She's not in any trouble, Miss Peterson," Julian said, his voice softer than he'd intended. The woman flinched at his tone. He realized with a jolt that he was the most terrifying thing in this room to her. "On the contrary, your daughter has been exceptionally helpful." He looked at the guards. "You're dismissed." The guards looked at each other, then reluctantly left the study and closed the doors. Julian was now alone with the mother and child. His entire security team was compromised. His chief of staff was his enemy. His brother was his betrayer. The only people in this billion-dollar cage he could trust were two people who had less than $20 in their bank account. The irony was so bitter it almost made him laugh. "Sarah," he said, using her first name, "I have a situation, a problem in my company, and I believe your daughter, inadvertently, has given me the key to solving it." Sarah clutched Lily tighter. I don't understand, sir." "I'm being robbed," Julian said plainly. "Not by strangers, by my most trusted employees, and by my brother. They are stealing everything I own. They are replacing priceless real art and gems with fakes. Today, they replaced this." He took the fake Orlov from his pocket and placed it on the coffee table. Sarah gasped. Even to her untrained eye, it was obviously a diamond of immense value. "Lily," Julian continued, "saw them. She saw them yesterday swapping a painting. She saw them in my vault, which is supposed to be impossible. Because of her, I now know the truth." He looked at Sarah, his gaze intense. "I am surrounded by vipers. My house is not safe. My technology is compromised. I can trust no one, except perhaps you." "Me?" Sarah's voice was a squeak. "Why? Why would you trust me?" "Because you have nothing to gain from my downfall and everything to lose if they discover your daughter saw them. We are, you and I, in the same precarious position. They will not allow a witness, no matter how small, to exist. And they will not allow the mother of that witness to exist either. They will. Handle it. Marcus is very good at handling things." The color drained from Sarah's face as the reality of her situation hit her. She wasn't just in trouble for trespassing. She and her daughter were witnesses to a crime so large it was almost abstract. What do you want me to do?" she whispered. "For now, nothing. Go home. Take Lily. Pretend this never happened. Go back to your work tomorrow, but you will no longer be a cleaner. You will be my eyes and ears. They all ignore you. The cleaners, the waitstaff. You are invisible to them. That is now your greatest weapon. And mine. He walked to his desk and scribbled on a piece of his personal heavyweight stationery. It was a private phone number, one that bypassed his penthouse system entirely, a relic from a previous, less connected life. This is a number. It goes to a secure line in a facility I own downtown. It is not digital. It is not smart. It is a simple, old-fashioned telephone. Memorize it, then burn this paper. Do not call me unless it is a life or death emergency. I will find a way to contact you. How? I don't know yet, Julian admitted, but I will. For now, your only job is to be invisible and to listen. Listen to Mr. Vane. Listen to Ms. Hayes. Listen to my brother, Eris, if you see him. They think you are furniture. Let them. He then did something he hadn't done in years. He went to a small private safe hidden behind a bookshelf. A simple dial combination safe, not connected to any network. He took out a thick bundle of cash. He handed it to Sarah. It was more money than she had seen in her life. For your trouble, and for your silence, and for the babysitter. Do not bring Lily here again. It's not safe. Sarah stared at the money, then at him, her eyes shining with unshed tears. She nodded, her throat too tight to speak. Good, Julian said. Now I will have one of my personal drivers, a man who has been with my family for 30 years, before Vane or Hayes. Take you home. The guards at the door will not stop you. I will clear it. He pressed another button. Miguel, bring the town car to the service entrance. You will be taking a Ms. Peterson and her daughter home. No one else is to be involved. Understood? A gravelly voice replied. Sigh, Mr. Thorne. Julian looked at Lily, who was watching him with that same unnerving, curious gaze. Thank you, Lily. You have very good eyes. You're welcome, Mr. Fridge, she said. And for the first time in what felt like a decade, Julian Thorne genuinely smiled. The moment they were gone, the smile vanished. He was a king in a glass castle, and the walls were now controlled by his enemies. He sat in his study for a long time, the fake diamond in his hand. He had to assume everything was compromised. The cameras, the audio, his computer, his phone. Every word he spoke, every email he sent, was being monitored by Marcus and Eleanor. They were watching him now. They were waiting to see how he reacted to the impossible breach. His performance had to be perfect. He buzzed his intercom. Eleanor, get in here. She entered, her face a mask of professional contrition. Sir, I can't explain the breach. The child. Her mother claims she just wandered off. It's unthinkable. It's not just unthinkable, Eleanor, it's a disgrace. Julian snapped, playing the part of the outraged billionaire. A 7-year-old girl, in my vault. My vault. What in God's name am I paying you for? Sir, I am running a full diagnostic. The dumbwaiter shaft. It was on the original 1923 blueprints, but it was marked as sealed and filled in the 2018 renovation. You assumed, Julian spat. You trusted a contractor's report and your digital scanners, and you missed a 5-foot-wide hole in my defenses. A hole a child found. It will be sealed tonight, sir. Welded, filled, and censored. You're damned right it will, Julian said. But the damage is done. The girl's mother has been dismissed. I've had Miguel take her home to collect her things. She and the child will be required to sign a comprehensive non-disclosure agreement. Marcus will handle the legal and the settlement. Eleanor nodded, relieved. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. This was the test. And Eleanor, Julian said, the diamond, the girl. She held it. I want it cleaned, recalibrated. I don't want her residue on it. Send it out to Breitling's in Zurich. Full diagnostics. Use the secure transport. He watched her. A flicker. Just a tiny, involuntary twitch in her left eyelid. She was calculating. This was not part of their plan. They had assumed the fake would sit in the vault, uninspected, for months. Now he was sending it to the world's foremost gemologist. "Sir," she said, her voice tight, "is that wise? Sending the Orlov out of the country on such short notice, the insurance protocols alone. Perhaps we could bring a specialist here." "No," Julian said, enjoying this. "I want it out of my house. It feels, tainted. Handle it, Eleanor. Tonight." "Yes, sir." She turned to leave. "And Eleanor?" "Sir? You're on thin ice, very thin ice." She nodded stiffly and left. Julian allowed himself a grim smile. He had just thrown a bomb into their operation. They couldn't let him send the fake to Zurich. It would expose them instantly. They would have to stop him. And that meant they would have to accelerate their plans. They would have to find a way to retrieve the fake diamond from him, or from his transport, or they would have to stop him. The game had changed. They had been playing a long con. Now, thanks to Lily, they were in a sprint. He then called Marcus, his voice filled with agitation. "Marcus, that security bitch. She let a child into the vault. A child. She's sealing the shaft, but I don't feel safe. I want a full review of all physical security starting tomorrow." "Julian, calm down." Marcus's voice was a balm, just as it always was. "I'm already on it. I've spoken to Eleanor. She's distraught. And I've handled the mother. The NDA is being drafted. We'll give her a severance package that will ensure her silence." "It's not enough," Julian said, pacing his study, knowing the cameras were watching him. He was performing. "I feel violated. I'm sending the diamond to Zurich to be checked. I can't even look at it." There was a pause, a tiny, fractional silence that, to Julian's trained ear, screamed. "To Zurich?" Marcus said, his voice perfectly smooth. "Julian, that's a massive logistical and security risk. Why don't we just put it back? It's safe. The hole is sealed. No one can get in now." "No," Julian insisted. "I want it done, tonight. I'm going to— I don't know. I'm going to the club. I need a drink. I need to get out of this house. Have Miguel bring the car back." "Julian, it's late," Marcus said, a new paternalistic note entering his voice. "You're upset. You're not thinking clearly. Perhaps you should take one of the sedatives Dr. Alpert prescribed. A good night's sleep." "I am not taking a sedative," Julian snapped. "I'm going out. Handle the diamond. Handle Eleanor. That's your job." He hung up. He knew what would happen. Marcus and Eleanor would confer. They couldn't let the diamond leave the building. They would have to intercept Miguel, his driver. But Miguel was the one person he trusted. He'd been his father's driver. He was ex-Special Forces, retired, and owed his loyalty to the Thorn name, not the Thorn Corporation. Julian went to his bedroom. He put on a coat. He put the fake diamond into a velvet bag, and the bag into his coat pocket. He was not going to the club. He was going to walk out the front door, get into his car, and wait. The lobby of his building was a 3-story atrium of marble and dead, expensive art. As he stepped out of the private elevator, he saw Eleanor by the security desk, speaking urgently into a phone. She saw him and her eyes widened. She had not expected him to leave. He gave her a cold nod and walked toward the entrance. Miguel was there, the vintage Bentley gleaming. Miguel opened the door. "The club, sir?" "Just drive, Miguel," Julian said, sliding in. As they pulled away from the curb, a black sedan, a standard-issue security vehicle from his own corporate fleet, pulled out 3 cars behind them. "We have a tail, Miguel," Julian said quietly. "I know, sir," Miguel said, his eyes on the mirror. "One of Ms. Hayes's cars, driven by her top man, Novak." "Lose him," Julian said, "but not too quickly. Make it look like you're just a driver, not you." "With respect, Mr. Thorne, they are amateurs," Miguel said. The Bentley, which looked like a stately limousine, housed a 600-horsepower engine. Miguel took a sharp, unsignaled left onto a side street, then an immediate right into a parking garage. They sped up the ramps, the tires squealing, and burst out onto a parallel street 2 blocks away, heading downtown. The black sedan was hopelessly lost in the one-way maze. "Where to, sir?" Miguel asked, his voice calm. "A safe place," Julian said. "Do you remember the old archive facility? The one in the printing district? The bunker?" "Yes, sir. I haven't been there in years." "That's the one," Julian said. It was an old, nondescript brick warehouse, a relic of his father's era. It was climate-controlled, lead-lined, and most importantly, completely and totally analog. It was not connected to any network. It was a digital black hole. It was the only place in the city he was safe. When they arrived, Julian used a physical, skeleton key to open a reinforced steel door. The air inside was cool and smelled of paper and dust. "Miguel, I am in a great deal of trouble. My life may be in danger, but more importantly, I need a message delivered." "Name the person, sir." "Sarah Peterson, the woman we just dropped off. I need you to go to her apartment. Do not be seen. Not by my security, not by anyone. Give her this." He handed Miguel a small, sealed envelope. Inside was another, older model, non-GPS-enabled cell phone, a burner, and a note. "The message is simple. He knows he's safe. He needs your eyes. This phone is clean. He will call you on it tomorrow at 3 p.m. Expect the call. Destroy your own phone." Miguel nodded. "Consider it done, sir. And you?" "I'm going to stay here for a while. They are watching the penthouse. They are watching my car. They think I'm at the club. Let them. You, Miguel, are my only agent in the outside world now. Can I trust you?" "Mr. Julian," Miguel said, his dark eyes meeting Julian's. "Your father found me in a ditch in Caracas. He gave me a life. You are his son. You do not even have to ask." Miguel left. Julian locked the massive door behind him. He was alone, in a dusty warehouse full of paper, holding a $1 billion fake diamond. He walked through the aisles of files, his father's entire life, documented and boxed. He went to a small office in the back. He turned on a single, green-shaded lamp. He sat. And for the first time, he let the terror and the rage wash over him. His brother. Aris. He had always known Aris was weak, jealous, and resentful. But this was a betrayal of biblical proportions. And Marcus, his confidant. The man who knew his every secret, his every password, his every preference. Marcus was the brain. Aris was the inside man, the emotional leverage. Eleanor was the muscle, the technology. They had him surrounded. They were swapping his assets. But why? Just for the money? It seemed. Too complicated. There were easier ways to steal from him. This was personal. This was about erasure, replacing his reality. He remembered what Lily had said. Mr. Sad said, "It's the last one, Marcus. Father's favorite. After this, it's done." Father's favorite. The Monet. His father had bought it for him, Julian, not Aris. The jealousy. It was so petty and so complete. What was their endgame? They swap the art, the jewels. They sell the originals on the black market. But what about him? They couldn't just let him exist, knowing he might one day notice. He thought of Marcus's words. "You're upset. You're not thinking clearly. Perhaps you should take one of the sedatives." Gaslighting. That was it. They weren't just robbing him. They were setting the stage to have him declared mentally incompetent. They were building a case, piece by piece, that he was losing his mind. The forgetfulness. He had forgotten signing a document last week, hadn't he? Or had Marcus told him he had? The agitation. his outburst at Eleanor, which they were no doubt logging. The paranoia, sending the diamond to Zurich for no good reason. They were going to strip him of his assets, and then, when the time was right, strip him of his name and his freedom, locking him away in a private hospital with Dr. Alpert, their doctor, signing the papers. Aris, his next of kin, would take over the estate, guided by the ever-faithful Marcus Vane. It was a perfect diabolical plan, and it would have worked. It was working. Until a 7-year-old girl got bored and went exploring. He spent the night in the bunker, sleeping on a cot. He, Julian Thorne, slept on a cot like a soldier. He woke cold and stiff, but his mind was sharp. He had a plan. It was analog. It was risky. It was all he had. At precisely 3 p.m., he called the burner phone. She picked up on the first ring. "Hello?" Sarah's voice was a terrified whisper. "Miss Peterson, it's Julian Thorne." "Oh, God," she breathed. "Miguel found you. You're safe." "Yes, for now. I need your help. You go to work today?" "Yes. They told me to come in, to sign the papers. The NDA Mr. Vane mentioned." "Perfect. That's perfect. You'll be in the building. You'll be in his office." "Yes. I'm scared." "You must not be," Julian said, his voice hard, trying to inject steel into her. "You are not a cleaner. You are my agent. You are protecting your daughter. You must be brave. I need you to do something for me, in Marcus's office. It will be dangerous." "What?" "He has a desk. On the right side there is a panel. It looks like wood. It's not. It's a biometric scanner keyed to his palm. But there is an override behind his bookshelf." "How do you know this?" "Because I built this building, Sarah. I designed it. I put a back door in everything." He gave her the instructions. A code. A simple, numeric code. It would open a small, hidden safe behind the scanner. "Inside," Julian said, "there is a hard drive. A small, black, solid-state drive. It's his private ledger. His personal files. I've suspected for a year he was running side deals, but I could never prove it. Now I know why. He's not just running side deals. He's running my life. I need that drive. You will have exactly 2 minutes, maybe less. When you go in to sign the papers, you will accidentally spill your water. Or your coffee. You will make a mess. You will apologize profusely. He will be annoyed. He will go to get a towel. He is fastidious. He won't let a cleaner do it. He'll do it himself. That's your window. Get the drive. Put it in your pocket. Sign the papers and leave. Can you do this?" There was a long silence. He could hear her breathing. "If I get caught, he will." "He will kill you," Julian said, his voice devoid of emotion. "And he will kill me. And he will find Lily. This is the whole game, Sarah. Right here, right now." "Okay," she whispered, a new resolve in her voice. "Okay, I'll do it. For Lily." "Good. Miguel will be in a coffee shop, the Daily Grind, on the street level of the building, from 4 p.m. until you are finished. He will be in the back booth reading a newspaper. Go to him. Do not speak. Order a coffee. When you leave, forget your napkin on the table. Leave the drive inside the napkin. He will do the rest." "Okay." "Sarah, you are a good mother." "Huss." He hung up. Now he could only wait. The next few hours were the longest of his life. He paced the dusty floors of the bunker, his mind playing out 1,000 scenarios, 999 of them ending in disaster. Sarah's hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the cheap plastic cup of water the receptionist had given her. She was sitting outside Marcus Vane's office. The door was open. He was inside on a call, his voice a low, soothing murmur. "Of course, Senator. The Foundation is fully committed. Yes, Aris is. Passionate about the new wing. He was so smooth. So handsome. He looked like a movie star. He looked evil. Miss Peterson, Mr. Vane will see you now. Sarah stood, her legs feeling like wet cement. She walked into the office. It was larger than her entire apartment, with a glass wall overlooking the city. "Ah, Sarah," Marcus said, standing and flashing a brilliant, insincere smile. He did not offer his hand. "Please sit. This is just a formality. A simple non-disclosure agreement. Given the embarrassing nature of your daughter's adventure yesterday, Mr. Thorne insists. He is, as you may know, a very private man." "Yes, sir, I understand," Sarah whispered, sitting on the edge of the chair. The desk was between them, a massive, gleaming slab of mahogany. "Now," Marcus said, sliding a thick document toward her. "It basically states that you will never speak of the layout of the penthouse, the security, or the items you or your daughter may have seen. In return, the Thorne Corporation is providing you with a severance of $50,000. Sarah's eyes widened. $50,000, it was a fortune. It was enough to disappear. "And," Marcus continued, "we have arranged for Lily to be enrolled in a special school, a boarding school, upstate, very exclusive, for children with behavioral issues. It will be the best place for her. All expenses paid, of course." The blood ran cold in Sarah's veins. It wasn't a severance. It was a prison. They were buying her silence and taking her daughter. They would put Lily in a place where she could never, ever talk. "Now," Marcus said, holding out a pen, "if you'll just sign." This was it. Sarah's hand trembled. She reached for the pen, and with her other hand she knocked the cup of water. It spilled everywhere, across the desk, onto the priceless rug, and most importantly, onto Marcus's perfectly creased trousers. "Oh my God!" Sarah shrieked, jumping up. "I'm so sorry. Oh, sir, I'm so clumsy. I—" "Damn it," Marcus hissed, leaping back. The water was ice cold. "You idiot, No, just stay there." He grabbed a box of tissues from his credenza, but it was a laughable defense. "I'll get a towel. Don't touch anything." He disappeared through a private door into his personal bathroom. Sarah didn't hesitate. She ran around the desk. Her heart was a drum. Bookshelf. Third shelf. Fourth book. The Art of War. She pulled it. A tiny click. She ran back to the desk. The panel on the right. She pressed her hand where Julian had told her. It didn't scan. It popped open. Inside, a tiny black safe. Code, up 4/12/1980. Eris's birthday. The day Julian's father had forgotten him, in Julian's words. A petty, perfect reminder. The safe clicked open. There it was. A small black drive. She grabbed it, shoved it deep into her pocket, closed the safe, and pushed the panel back. It clicked shut. She was back in her chair, shaking, just as Marcus stormed out of the bathroom with a thick cotton towel. "You," he said, his voice dripping with contempt as he furiously dried the rug, "are an imbecile. Sign the papers, and get out of my sight. Your services are, clearly, no longer required." Sarah, her hand shaking so hard she could barely write, signed the document. She didn't read it. She didn't care. She stood up. "Thank you, sir. I'm sorry again." "Get out," he snarled, not looking up. She walked out, past the receptionist, into the elevator. She didn't breathe until the doors closed. She went down to the lobby. The daily grind. She saw him. A strong, older man in the back booth with kind eyes and a newspaper. He didn't look up. She went to the counter. One black coffee, please." She paid. She took the coffee. She went to the table across from his. She sat for a moment, her heart trying to escape her chest. She put the drive into her napkin. She stood up, forgot the napkin, and walked out, leaving the full coffee behind. She didn't look back. Miguel arrived at the bunker an hour later. He handed Julian the napkin. Julian unfolded it. The drive was there. He gripped Miguel's shoulder. "Thank you, both of you." He plugged the drive into an old air-gapped laptop he kept in the bunker. It was unencrypted. Marcus, in his arrogance, had assumed physical security was enough. It was all there. Julian's breath hitched. It was worse than he could have ever imagined. It wasn't just art and gems. It was everything. They were hollowing out his company. Shipping manifests for the real art, sold through a shell corporation in Panama. Bank transfers, billions, siphoned from his corporate accounts into offshore numbered accounts, all authorized by him, or rather, by his forged digital signature. There were audio files. Marcus talking to Eris. Marcus talking to Eleanor. Marcus talking to, Dr. Alpert. "The medication is working perfectly," Alpert's voice said. "He's reporting fogginess and minor memory lapses. We'll increase the dosage next week. By the time of the gala, he'll be primed. He'll have his episode right on stage, in front of everyone. Eris will reluctantly step in. It will be tragic. And perfect." The gala. The annual Thorn Foundation Gala. It was in 3 days. That was their endgame. Not a quiet committal. A public spectacle. They were going to humiliate him, declare him insane in front of the entire New York philanthropic community, his board of directors, and the press. Eris would be the hero, saving his brother from himself. Marcus would be the loyal regent, taking control of the empire. Julian felt sick. They weren't just robbing him. They were murdering his mind. The sedatives, the vitamins Marcus had insisted he take for stress. He hadn't taken them, not regularly. He hated the way they made him feel. But he'd taken enough. Enough to make him foggy. Enough for them to build their case. But the most damning file was a video. It was from a hidden camera in his own study. It was Marcus and Eris 2 nights ago. "He's getting suspicious, Marcus." Eris's voice was a high-pitched whine. "He's asking questions about the quarterly reports. The fonts," he said. "The fonts." "Let him." Marcus's voice was calm. "Let the paranoid old fool look at his fonts. It only helps our case. He's obsessing. It's a classic sign of cognitive decay. Eleanor, is the Monet ready?" "The forgery is perfect." Eleanor's voice off camera. "We swap it tonight. The diamond is tomorrow. And then, Eris, then it's all yours. Everything he ever took from you. Everything our father gave him and denied us." Julian froze. "Us? He was never my father, Eris," Marcus said, his voice dropping to a venomous hiss. "He was my employer. After my own father died, he took me in, true. But as what? A glorified servant. A chief of staff. I ran his life. I built his second fortune, and what did I get? A salary. While you, his idiot son, and he, his golden boy, got the name. The legacy. The world. No more. I'm taking it back. I'm taking it all back." Julian's head was spinning. Marcus. His father had taken Marcus in. He remembered vaguely. Marcus's father had been his own father's college roommate. He'd died young. His father had sponsored Marcus, paid for his education, given him a job. Julian had never seen him as a servant. He'd seen him as family. A different kind of brother. One who was competent. One he could rely on. He realized now that for 30 years, Marcus Vane had been cultivating a paths of glory level of resentment, so deep and so patient it was almost admirable. He didn't just want the money. He wanted revenge on the name Thorn. And he was using Eris, the real son, as his puppet to get it. Julian saved the files. All of them. He now had the how, the who, and the why. And he had the when. The gala. In 3 days. They were planning to end him. He, Julian Thorn, would have to end them first. He spent the next 48 hours in the bunker. He ate cold rations. He did not sleep. He and Miguel, his only allies, worked. He used the burner phone to call Sarah. "I have the drive," he told her. "You are a hero. Now I need you to disappear. You and Lily. Miguel has an apartment, a safe house his family keeps. No one knows it. He will take you there. You will stay there until I call you on this phone. Do not leave. Do not talk to anyone. Are we clear?" "Yes," she said, her voice shaking with relief. "And Mr. Thorne, God bless you." "He already did," Julian said. "He sent me your daughter." Next, Julian, with Miguel's help, began to move. He was a ghost, using cash, using service tunnels, using the forgotten analog parts of a city he owned. He visited a man, an old-school private investigator, a man his father had used to clean up Eris's many, many messes. The man was 70, retired, and owed the Thorne family his silence. Julian didn't need him to investigate. He needed him to act. He gave him a list. "I need a team," Julian said. 12 men, not security guards, not thugs. Men who can wear a tuxedo and look like they belong, but men who can handle a situation quietly. I need them at my penthouse in 3 days, for the gala. They will be my waitstaff. The PI nodded. "It will be expensive." "I am. Still, a billionaire," Julian said. "Make it happen." Next, he visited another man, a tech wizard, a white-hat hacker he had once paid a fortune to try and break his own systems. The man lived in a basement in Queens, surrounded by servers. "They've locked me out of my own house," Julian said, sliding the hard drive across the table. "They control my cameras, my audio, my network. The gala is in 3 days. I'm giving a speech. They are planning to use the AV system against me. I want you to use it against them." The hacker grinned. "A Trojan horse. They expect you to use the new system, the digital one, but the building, the 1923 schematics. Is there an old system, an analog to AV override, a hard line?" "In the sub-basement," Julian said. "A 1980s-era broadcast control room. It's still wired to the penthouse mainframe. It's a relic." "Relics are my specialty," the hacker said. "They'll be running their feed from the server room. I'll patch in from the basement. They'll be broadcasting their show, but the audience will be watching mine." "What's on the drive?" "Their confession," Julian said. The hacker's grin widened. "Oh, this is going to be fun." The night of the gala. The penthouse was ablaze with lights. Hundreds of New York's elite mingled, champagne flutes in hand. They were surrounded by priceless art, half of which Julian now knew was fake. Marcus Vane was the perfect host, gliding through the crowd, his smile radiant. Eris Thorne, his younger brother, stood by the fake Monet, looking pale and tragic, already playing the part of the grieving, responsible relative. Eleanor Hayes was in the security hub, a glass-walled room overlooking the party, monitoring her flawless digital network. The PI's men were in place, wearing white jackets, carrying trays of champagne. They were alert, waiting. Julian Thorne was in his study, preparing his remarks. Marcus knocked. "Julian, it's time. The guests are waiting." Julian opened the door. He looked terrible. His suit was rumpled. His eyes were wide and unfocused. He hadn't shaved. He had, in fact, used makeup to create the effect. He looked like a man on the verge of a complete breakdown. "Marcus," he whispered, clutching his arm. I don't think I can. The walls. They're shimmering." Marcus's eyes lit up with a predatory gleam, which he quickly masked with concern. "Julian, it's all right. It's just nerves. A little speech. For your father's foundation. You'll be fine. Here." He discreetly passed Julian a small pill. "Just a beta blocker. It will calm you." "Yes," Julian said. "Yes, a blocker. Thank you, Marcus." You. You always know what I need. He palmed the pill. He didn't take it. Let's go. Marcus guided him to the podium at the front of the Grand Salon. A massive 8K screen was behind it, currently showing the Thorn Foundation logo. Aris and Marcus took their seats in the front row. The room fell silent. Julian tapped the microphone. He swayed slightly. Good. Good evening, he stammered. Thank you. Thank you for coming. The Thorn Foundation. It's my father. He squinted at his note cards. The reports. The fonts. The fonts are all wrong. In the front row, Marcus exchanged a subtle, triumphant look with Aris. It's happening. Right on schedule. The pictures. Julian continued, his voice rising, becoming more agitated. The pictures are sleepy. They're not shiny. The boats. Aris stood up. Julian, he said, his voice full of false empathy. Julian. Brother, perhaps you should sit down. You're not well. I'm not, Julian shouted. I'm not well. You've been. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus said, standing and striding to the stage. My apologies. Mr. Thorn he has been under an immense amount of stress. He needs to rest. He put his hand on Julian's arm. Julian, let's go. Get your hands off me, Julian roared. He looked insane. This was it. The public breakdown. He's having an episode. Dr. Alpert, seated conveniently nearby, said to the people at his table. He needs medical attention. Yes, Marcus said, his voice projecting to the room. He does. He hasn't been himself for months. Forgetting things, paranoia, agitation, as his chief of staff and as his friend. It's been my painful duty to document this, for his own protection. Eleanor. Show them. In the security booth, Eleanor hit play on a prepared video file. It was a highlight reel of Julian's erratic behavior. Him shouting at her about the vault. Him pacing his office, obsessing over fonts. Him forgetting he'd signed a document. It was a perfect curated assassination of his character. The video was set to play on the massive screen behind Julian, but the screen remained black. Eleanor, Marcus whispered into his watch. The video. Play the video now. I am. Her voice came back, panicked. It's not responding. The feed is. It's hijacked. And then, the screen flickered to life. It was not Julian's breakdown. It was the grainy, hidden camera footage from Marcus's own hard drive. The video from Julian's study, the audio, piped through the state-of-the-art sound system, was crystal clear. Then it's all yours. Marcus's voice filled the stunned, silent room. Everything he ever took from you. Everything our father gave him and denied us. Aris in the front row went sheet white. He looked like he was going to be sick. Marcus's head snapped toward the screen, his face a mask of disbelief. I'm taking it back. I'm taking it all back. The video feed switched. Now it was bank records, offshore accounts, tens of billions of dollars. The word forgery was stamped in red over Julian's signature. The feed switched again. A high-res photo of the fake Orloff next to a photo of the real one, the sleepy versus the shiny. A child could see the difference. What is this? A board member in the front row demanded. Marcus. What is this? Marcus was trapped. He looked at Julian, who was no longer stammering. Julian stood straight, his eyes clear and cold. This, Julian said, his voice booming through the microphone, is what's been happening. This is my chief of staff, Marcus Vane. My head of security, Eleanor Hayes. And my brother, Aris Thorn. For the last 2 years they have been systematically robbing me, not just of my assets, but of my sanity. It's a lie, Marcus shouted. It's a deep fake. He's insane. Is this a deep fake, Marcus? Julian's voice was like a whip. The audio file of Dr. Alpert played. The medication is working perfectly. He'll have his episode right on stage. Dr. Alpert tried to bolt from his chair. Two of the waiters seized his arms, smoothly and efficiently. Eleanor! Marcus screamed into his watch. Cut the power. Cut the power now. I can't, she shrieked back. It's not my system. No, Julian said. It's not. It's a 1980s analog broadcast system. You, with all your digital brilliance, missed it. Just like you missed the 1920s dumbwaiter. Julian looked at Marcus. The man's face was crumbling, the mask of suaveness melting into pure, primal hate. You, Julian said, are a glorified servant, Marcus. You were right about one thing. My father should never have trusted you. He looked at Eris, who was openly weeping, a broken puddle on the floor. And you, Eris, you were right too. He was your father, and you betrayed him. You betrayed me. Julian, Eris sobbed. He made me. He preyed on your weakness, Julian said, his voice laced with contempt. Because you've always been weak. Finally, Julian looked at the crowd. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. The Thorn Foundation Gala is cancelled. But please do not leave. The NYPD is on their way. My waitstaff will ensure no one, especially Mr. Vane and Ms. Hayes, leaves the premises. As he spoke, the waiters moved, creating a calm, inescapable perimeter. The party was over. Marcus Vane stood, frozen, his face a terrifying rictus of rage. He had been so close. He had been perfect. And he had been undone. How? How? He whispered, his voice hoarse. Julian stepped off the stage. He walked right up to Marcus, close enough to smell the man's expensive, panicked sweat. You, Julian said, were undone by a 7-year-old girl, with very, very good eyes. She thought your fake diamond looked sleepy. He left Marcus to be taken by the waiters and walked to his brother. He looked down at the sobbing man. He felt nothing, just emptiness. Get up, Eris. Eris looked up, his face a ruin. Julian, please. Get up. You will not give them the satisfaction of seeing you crawl. You will stand. You will be arrested. And you will face what you did. It's the only way you will ever, ever be anything more than the sad man. Eris, shamed, finally, into a sliver of dignity, used the chair to pull himself to his feet. He stood shaking as the first sirens wailed in the distance. The aftermath was a storm. The arrests, the trials, the press. It was the biggest financial and social scandal in a decade. Marcus Vane, defiant to the end, was convicted on all counts, his hidden ledgers and his own recorded voice his damnation. He received a sentence of 150 years. Eleanor Hayes, in exchange for her full cooperation, received a lesser sentence of 20 years. Dr. Alpert lost his license and would spend the rest of his life in a prison of his own making. And Eris. Julian, in a final, complex act of mercy and coldness, did not testify against his brother. He didn't need to. Eris pleaded guilty to everything. He was sentenced to 10 years in a low-security prison with mandatory intensive therapy. Julian, his fortune diminished but still vast. His reputation complicated, set about rebuilding. He liquidated the fakes. He hired an entirely new staff, vetted not by their resumes but by their character. He sold the cold glass penthouse. He kept the bunker, and he kept Miguel. He was, for a time, alone again. But it was a different kind of alone. It was not isolation. It was quiet. One evening, a month after the trial, Miguel drove him to a small, clean apartment building in a decent, unglamorous part of Brooklyn, the safe house. He knocked. The door opened. Sarah Peterson stood there. She looked different. She had gained weight. Her hair was down. She was smiling. "Mr. Thorne." "Julian," he corrected her. "Lily? She's here. She's been asking about you." Lily ran out from a small bedroom. She was wearing new, clean pajamas. She stopped when she saw him. "Mr. Fridge," she said, a wide smile breaking across her face. "Hello, Lily," Julian said. He knelt just as he had in the vault. He was holding a small, wrapped box. "I brought you something. It's not sleepy, and it's not shiny, but I think you'll like it." She tore it open. It was a professional 120-color set of art pencils and a thick, leather-bound sketchbook. Her eyes went as wide as saucers. "Wow. I'm told," Julian said, "that you have very good eyes. You should use them. Draw what you see." "Draw. Everything." Lily hugged the box to her chest. "Thank you." "Sarah," Julian said, standing up. I have a proposition for you. I'm dismantling the old Thorne Foundation. It was corrupted. I'm starting a new one. A real one. It's not for opera houses or museums. It's for families like yours. For children who get bored and have to be brought to work. For single mothers who can't afford babysitters. It's called the Lily Fund. Kim, Sarah's hand went to her mouth. "But I don't. I need someone to run it," Julian said. "Someone who understands it. Someone I can trust, implicitly. Someone with good instincts. The pay is, well, it's very good. And the first order of business is to find you and Lily a permanent home, a real one, with a yard." Sarah burst into tears, not the terrified tears of their first meeting, but tears of relief, of a pressure, a lifetime of pressure finally releasing. "Yes," she whispered. "Oh, yes. Thank you, Julian." Julian looked at Lily, who was already sitting on the floor, opening the pencil set, her face a mask of intense concentration as she selected her first color. He sat on the floor opposite her. "What are you going to draw first?" he asked. "You," she said, not looking up. "But I'm going to make you smile. You look better when you smile." Julian Thorne, the man who had lost a brother, half his fortune, and his entire life, and then somehow found it again, sat on the cheap apartment carpet, a cold, empty billionaire no more. He watched the little girl who had saved him, and for the first time, the smile was not a performance. It was real.